Hello everyone, and welcome back to another comic review. This time we're reviewing Richard Meyer's newest book to be fulfilled on an Indiegogo campaign, PANdemIC. It's a pretty simple 22-page issue, so it was an easy read. I got through it in like maybe 10 minutes. Going back on the history of this comic, it came out like right when we were hitting the peak of the pandemic where everyone is in full panic. This came out. And the idea was it would be like written and updated depending on how the situation turned out later on. So it was kind of written in a rush and it reads that way. Now I get it to some extent. I saw like these movies, these like parody movies that were coming out around the time of the pandemic trying to capitalize on those clicks, and they were all like low budget, but they still make a little bit of money because, you know, they get them clicks, they get people's attention. Oh, look, a movie came out about the pandemic during the pandemic. That's topical. And I'm guessing the same idea was behind this comic. So, written in a bit of a rush and just thrown out there, hey, look at this, it's topical. But one of the reasons I did decide to get it, I wasn't gonna get it at first, I was very much like rolling my eyes at it, but I did decide to get it because I remember hearing in one of his videos him talking about how this main character is like kind of a trope, the black female with the shaved sides, and he wanted to use this book as like an opportunity to write her as a actual character rather than just being bland and good at everything. So I was curious how he was going to write the character, and I was curious if the story would actually be interesting or if it would just come off as a rushed cash grab. So now I'm sure you guys are wondering, what does Dan Fan think of this book? Well, first I'll give my spoiler-free review here, and then I'll actually get the phone camera and go over the story and the pages. But just to be blunt before I even start to get into it, I didn't like it. I've been pretty on-off with Richard's stuff. Sometimes I'm like really into it and sometimes I'm just kind of like, eh. This one I straight up did not like at all. Like I said before, it reads as though it was rushed. It doesn't read like a story that had all these weeks of perfecting and passing it to friends and asking them what they think of it. It doesn't feel like that kind of book. It feels like the idea was conceived in a day, maybe edited for a week. And then maybe they go back and change certain things while it's being drawn. Throughout the story, we have this character who is basically just running away from these people. She doesn't know what they actually are going to do to her, but it seems pretty clear from the get-go that they are not going to kill her. Despite this, she is very panicked that they are going to kill her. And throughout the whole book, she's basically just causing all of these random people she doesn't know to get hurt. As she runs away for her life, she just comes off as a total spaz. At the end of the day, I feel like there's so much more reason to believe that she's not in actual danger than to believe that she is. And I know that she's not necessarily supposed to be a hero in this book, but she comes off so anti-heroic, and I just don't really see any reason for me to sympathize or like her at all. And I don't really feel like she goes through any character arc per se. Like I said, she spends most of the comic just running away from the police and these other people, and I found myself constantly like cheering for her to get caught. As far as the art goes, I'm not a huge fan of the style itself, but I don't dislike the art. There is this one panel, however, on the bridge where it looks like there's the clip art perspective tool being used, and they just exported the file with the tool on. It's kind of funny. It's also extremely jarring. How did this happen? I didn't even know if you exported the file that the ruler would actually show up on the panel. How did this happen? That is a pretty big mistake. I'll show it when I'm doing the page-by-page review. But yeah, other than that, the art just seems a little bit like stiff, maybe. I like very exaggerated styles. I like something that has its own like groove to it. This one, it seems like everything's like proportionally correct and like details are correct, but it just it doesn't have a groove to it. People were also making fun of the title logo. I don't really have that much of a problem with it personally, but I can see why people would make fun of it, because the dem, when you put the dem vertically like this, it looks like it's supposed to be another eye. So it's like PANdemIC. But I mean, I like the idea behind the logo, highlighting the word panic in the word pandemic. Oh, so clever. And that basically sums up the entire book. It's just this character in a state of panic. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the spoiler review. So if you haven't read it or haven't gotten your books yet, you can watch the spoiler part of this video later on. Alright, so let's get into this comic. So we start off, and the very first thing that our main character says is, enough sightseeing. It's the very first thing we said. Very first thing. Book opens up, enough sightseeing. We didn't even start sightseeing yet. We didn't get to see her sightseeing. The very first thing she says is enough sightseeing. But where's the page where she's sightseeing? What happened? They do say that your first line that you say in a book is like very important. It's part of what will hook or not hook your audience. As far as a first line for the main character to say, to be enough sightseeing, as if there was a page before this one that we didn't see, that line is going to be like a 2 for me, out of what could have been a 10. But basically the idea is this building is empty, and she broke in here, I guess with the help of a friend, to go steal all the stuff that's there. Now, what does she need the money for? I don't know. It's just basically a cat burglar taking advantage of a pandemic to steal from empty buildings, as far as I know. But the building is not empty like she thought it was going to be. Instead, she ends up eavesdropping in on a meeting with some world leaders in a closet with panels and blinking lights. Now, we don't actually get to hear the full conversation that these leaders are having, but basically what we do get to hear is them saying that they're taking advantage of the pandemic and they're taking advantage of everybody's fear. And that's not new, per se. There are tons of people, tons of businesses, not even world leaders, who have taken advantage of the pandemic. I mean, this main character herself is taking advantage of the pandemic by looting this building. Richard himself is taking advantage of the pandemic by making this comic. But for some reason she reacts as though they just revealed they're killing puppies by the millions. And I'm not feeling this reaction. So this guy comes into the electrical closet because I guess maybe a camera caught her going in here or something. They don't really explain why they know that she's in here. Maybe they heard her crying, I have no idea. But they think that she has a gun because it's dark and all you have are these stupid blinking dials to light the way. It seems like they should really just have a light switch back here, right? But he stops them from shooting her. He's like, no, it's just a power drill, escort her out, and you don't really know what's going to happen to her necessarily, but she seems to be under the impression that she is going to die, even though they made it very clear that they were not going to shoot her because she didn't have a weapon. And as they're escorting her to the elevator, I guess she assumes that they're taking her to a underground torture chamber beneath the building? I don't know. But then we see her friend, who is a security guard and supposedly is part of the reason why she was able to get into this building and start stealing all the shit. So he points his taser at her and she slides underneath his legs into the elevator, gets away, and they're mad at him because he didn't get out of the way fast enough of the elevator. And if he is really in on it, it's kind of douchey to just leave your friend with the guys who you thought were going to kill you. I mean, I could imagine a fake out going on here where she fake takes him as a hostage and gets into the elevator with him, and then once the elevator doors close, they're both looking at each other like, ha ha ha, got him. Now, lucky for our main character, she watched a lot of Looney Tunes growing up, so she knew to spill some coffee by the elevator door, and that they would all just slip and bounce all over each other and she could get away. And it looks like for a second that she's going to get away with her friend, But for some reason, her friend just yells at her to go and offers to stay behind. I mean, it sounds like he's doing something to prevent the bodyguards from going after her, but he's not doing anything. He's just standing there. There's really no reason why he can't run out the door with her. I mean, you got a distraction, they're sliding on the floor all over each other. It seems like the perfect opportunity to run out the door with her, but instead he's like, go, I'll hold them back by standing here and doing nothing. And then they look at him as if he actually did something. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything throughout the whole panels. You'll pay for that. For what? For saying go? So as she's running away, gets on her motorbike, one of these military guys stops her at a blockade and just like helps himself to looking into her bag and notices that she has a bunch of stolen laptops. And he legitimately says, I'm going to let this slide. I'm going to let theft slide, but I'm going to confiscate these laptops. So she's getting off scot-free. All she has to do is give them the laptops and she can keep going. And guess what she does? Guess what she does as a response to him saying, I'm going to let you go, but I'll have to take these laptops. So he took the laptop, he has her laptop in her hand. She takes it out of his hand, and I guess he just lets her take it out of his hand for some reason, and then she hits him with it. She's like, here, I'm gonna let you have that laptop, but let me just have it for a second. Bam! And she looks so proud of herself for getting a cheap shot off of a guy who was going to let her go. She's like, yeah. And there it is, guys. There it is. There's the panel where the perspective lines are still on the panel. And I know they're not supposed to be there because I don't see them in any of the other panels. So somebody forgot to take that tool off. Somebody forgot to uncheck the grid before exporting the file. It is kind of funny. I mean, you gotta have a sense of humor about these types of things. It looks like Spider-Man just like fucking webbed this bridge. It's also kind of weird with these little wood panels on the bridge. It looks like they get smaller as they come towards us and bigger as they go away from us. So that's a weird little perspective thing there. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how this happened. I mean, there were so many people on this comic. Not one of them said anything. There's Richard, right? Writer. There's the line artist. There's the colorist, there's the letterer. No, none of those people looked at that page and was like, you wanna take the tool off and re-export that file? But anyway, there's too many people in her way while she's running from the law, so she incites a panic in this crowd of people by saying that she's sick and they all run away from her, to which she causes a stampede and hurts these female officers by them getting trampled. So she attempts to call like multiple friends that she knows to see if she can like hide at their place while this thing blows over. She calls like this one mother of her friend, and you know, she says that I'm Jenny's friend, can I come over please? And it seems like the mother lets her know that cops there by saying Jennifer instead of her real name, which is what's weird is it's spelled with a G, but she says Jenny with a J, which is actually short for Jennifer. Should have spelled Jenny with a G so that the audience could know right away that Jennifer was not the right name. It's a nitpick, I know, but I think it would have made it a little bit better. So she crashes her bike through a store, probably a small business owner who's about to go out of business. Everyone starts freaking out because they think that it's a fucking terrorist attack, and she runs off into the back where she sees all this product placement. She's like, why isn't this on the shelves? And I don't know, I'm just kind of rolling my... Is this supposed to be funny? So she grabs a thing of toilet paper, and at first I thought, you know, she's screaming out, toilet paper! As if she's gonna do something, or as if she's like warning these people. I thought she was gonna take the toilet paper and like throw it at these guys who are chasing her as like a way of stopping them from chasing her. But no, she just She just takes the toilet paper and runs out the door. And then she's like, why did I do that? And that's exactly what I'm thinking. Why did you do that? Eventually she realizes, hey, holding this thing is probably just gonna slow me down. So she just gives it to this random lady who's in a dark alley with a shady ass looking baby. But surprisingly, it is not the baby who is the double agent here. It's the lady. So she shoots her with a tranq, and as she's passing out, she's still under the impression that they want to kill her. Plenty of opportunities to kill her, and they didn't. So then she wakes up to find out that they had faked her death, and that they are going to use her to be a part of their team of yoga instructors? And the reason why they choose her to be a part of this little secret team of people is because she showed remarkable ingenuity, bravery, and compassion under pressure. Where? I didn't see that. From my perspective, it seems like all she did throughout this comic was run away because she was scared that she was gonna get killed. That was her only motivation. I don't want to get killed, so I'm just gonna run away, and I don't care who I hurt or who I incite panic in. I just want to not die. The only thing that you could even remotely chalk up to her being compassionate under pressure? Are they referring to the fact that she gave toilet paper to a random lady on the street? Is this supposed to be her act of compassion? She literally had she picked up the toilet paper, didn't even know why she picked up the toilet paper, and then realized she couldn't run with it, so she just gave it to the nearest person on the street. That doesn't make her compassionate. It makes her a fucking idiot. I don't really think she did anything that impressive through this comic book. I really don't. And if you want to claim, oh, they want her on the team because she was really good at running away and stealing stuff. I mean, she got caught in half a day? In less than the span of 24 hours? I mean, come on. Oh, she's special. We have to have her on a team. Why? Why is she special? What's special about her? She sucks. If you wanted her to, like, do something heroic in this comic and have that be, like, her proving herself, that being the reason why they want her on the team, then make her do something actually heroic. She doesn't do anything. Yeah, so overall, it's a disappointment. Granted, you are entitled to your own opinion. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I feel like I've made it pretty clear why I don't like this book. And that is my review of PANdemIC, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of the book? Let me know down below in the comments. If you have any Indiegogo comics that you'd like me to review on this channel, let me know those comics. I have some comics that I've backed. I'm just kind of waiting for them to all come in so that I can review them. And I'm always honest on this channel, or at the very least I try to be honest. There's no bullshit with me. If I don't like something, I don't like it. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Program restart. Shutting down all systems.